Seth Bueller, and you're watching Shotgun Wrestling Radio.
This is Bryce Jordan, and you're watching Shotgun Wrestling Radio.
Hey, this is Jared Thumb, and you are watching Shotgun Wrestling Radio.
Wrestling fans, if you want the best wrestling news, you want to watch Shotgun Wrestling Radio. This is James Jeffries, and tell them that I sent you there. Yeah!
What's up, everybody? It's Leon King here, of course, the baddest of the baddest, and you are now listening to Shotgun Wrestling Radio.
I am Eric S. Knight.
And I'm Malik Champion.
And we are the chosen prodigal sons, and this is the Shotgun Wrestling Radio podcast.
This is your Deathmatch Daddy Bo guy, and you're watching Shotgun Wrestling Radio.
Hey everybody, this is Brock Anderson, and you are watching Shotgun Wrestling Radio.
This is Augustus Draven, and you're watching Shotgun Wrestling Radio.
This is the Feline Phenom, JT Energy, and you're experiencing Shotgun Wrestling Radio.
Welcome everybody to another edition of Shotgun Wrestling Radio. I'm your host, Zach Takis, and this week we are just about a week away, a week and a couple days away from Madhouse Wrestling returning to action Saturday, March the 29th, at Countryside Wedding and Event Center in Knoxville, Iowa. And I'm very excited to have somebody I've known for quite a long time, the one and only one of the founders of Madhouse Wrestling, the one and only Luke Raven, joining me this week. Luke, what's going on, bud? How you doing?
Hey, Zach, doing all right, getting ready for the 29th in Knoxville, and, hoping, keeping an eye on school and everything, and just kind of doing our normal thing.
And that's kind of what I really want to talk to you about here. Again, I know we're about a week and a half away from the show, but let's kind of get right into the school, man. You guys are just kind of wrapping up your first little class right now, and I know you had some open tryouts the other day, and kind of talk about how the school's been going and what's your first thoughts on your first class?
School's been fun.
School's actually been fun. It's been an interesting little endeavor. It wasn't anything that we thought we'd ever do
When we initially set out with Madhouse. That was not, a goal for a goal along the way,
but it became one. And, we were very lucky. Mike Malice and I were just like, all right, if we're going to do this thing, we got to find a legit spot, and we got to find a legit trainer. Like, we want to do this the right way, what we would consider the right way. And we got really lucky with our place in Monroe. And it just really, I can't believe they let us put a wrestling ring in there. And it's a big open space in a warehouse, and it's got like barn board in it, and it's brick, and it's absolutely beautiful facility in Monroe. And then we got our number one overall draft pick for our pick a trainer, which was former Madhouse champion Clay Cooper. I don't think we could have gotten a better trainer. I really don't. I mean, he is one of the smartest, most innovative, and knowledgeable guys out there. So got really lucky in this first class. And yeah, it's going to be wrapping up next month, but we do have some of the guys going to be in the Battle Royal that we're going to have in at March to Madness at the end of this month on the 29th. But yeah, I mean, class is awesome. I don't get to be there since I live in Wisconsin, but I get a lot of videos and stuff from Clay and everybody. I mean, it's amazing how quick this class has come along. They're so much further ahead than I would have ever expected. Only being, I think, 2 months to the just over 2 months from first class.
Have you guys had anybody drop out? I know you always have those stories about, wow, that's impressive. Normally you always have those stories from guys that, oh, we started with 5 and we only ended up with 2.
No, so our first class, we were actually pretty selective because we didn't want something like that to happen. It's also not our intention to just like take money and, we got your money, you don't have to show up, blah, blah, blah. No, we want people that want to be there from the start to the end. So, no, the first class, I can't remember the number of applications we had. It was an absolute absurd number. And you could usually tell pretty quickly who's more serious than others. And because some of the people, they'll just be like, what's the cost? And I mean, and we tell people, it's like, it's on our website, madhousewrestling.com. We are upfront with everything. A lot of people will be like, just, we'll figure it out later, or it's like, no, here's the cost. I've done the numbers. This is what it costs, to do this and do it right. And so when you go through the applications, that's kind of one of the things that you realize is like, okay, this person's probably more serious than others. This one's asking the right question, same thing that I would ask, or Clay said, yep, I asked that question, or Mike did. So we were pretty selective on this first one. And then we had the tryouts this past week. And we did that on real short notice. Legitimately, I think on like 3-4 days notice. And that was kind of an open invitation to see who's serious. If you're not willing to drive 30-40 minutes and pay $50, then you're probably not serious about doing this, training for 12 weeks. So I really think that being selective over who you train and not being in it to take money and things like that, those are our intentions. Our intentions are just to create as many good wrestlers as possible.
Well, looking at your guys' website too, you guys are also trying to expand out into, the commentary and the referee and the manager roles. How's that kind of looking, I guess, for what I would probably be your round 2 class? How's that process looking for you guys?
We get so many applications for managers and commentators / announcers, like so many. And the intention with those are, well, I guess manager commentator, you've done it a long time. I've done it. It's one of those things where you can have a little bit of training, someone can teach you. Really what it comes down to is how knowledgeable you are about wrestling in general, and then about the people that are wrestling in front of you. Otherwise, you're just going to be saying things. Being able to tell the story and everything like that. So we did not want to take any managers or announcers or anything for this first class on purpose, because we wanted to focus on like, hey, this first class, they're kind of our guinea pigs. We got to figure out what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, what we need to adjust. How are we going to fit managers and refs and all that into this? And so we've kind of got an idea of how we want to be able to do that. And what we want to do for like the announcers and commentators and everything is we're going to be starting house shows, quote unquote, probably towards the end of April, if not early May, at our facility in Monroe. And what we're going to do for like the commentating and everything is we're going to have someone come in, and someone like Ace, who's our resident announcer, or someone from our commentary team like Midnight or Hollinger, kind of taking them through step by step what it is that you need to do. Here's what time you show up. Here's what questions you need to ask. Here's what you need to not say, because what you don't say and is just as important sometimes as what you do say, and not walking through the entire match. That's something that you probably know is like pausing, taking breaths, stuff like that. But that doesn't come unless someone really tells you.
Yeah.
So the idea is to have them actually come, learn those things, spend a whole day with us, and then they get to announce or commentate that house show that night. And the goal would be to record those house shows and to record commentary, so that then they can have a little bit of a sizzle reel, because some of the people might want to come in and just do it the one time. Some people might say, hey, I want to come back, I want to do it again, I want to keep going, I want to make this a thing. And that's fine too, so we're trying to be as all encompassing and inclusive as we can. So first class, yeah, a little bit of guinea pigs, but they're all terrific. And the second class, we already have a few people, we have some signups and stuff like that, and then some others, we're getting applications and stuff, and we're just kind of shuffling papers around. This one, does this one look good to you? Does this one look good to you?
One thing I was always told, and I kind of tell this to anybody who wants to get into commentary, I remember the first time I did it, I was nervous as shit, because I know, and from a fan too, commentary can ruin a good match. Like, especially if you're watching on the indies. Like, there's times you'll go watch an indie match, I'm like, ooh, this commentary is just ugh. And that's all you're thinking about. And I'll never forget it, because it was with Central Empire, and I was there with my co-partner at the time, and before the show, Austin came up to me, Austin Bayless. He's like, "Just call what you see in the ring." And for some reason, that right there was like, "Oh, okay, you're right. Just call what we see in the ring." That's kind of my advice for people too. Just focus on what's in the ring. Like that's all there kind of is to it, really.
Yeah, I think the mistake that people tend to make, at least when I review the applications or talk to people, and I looked on other indie, watch other indie wrestling, and so people come in on their first time or they haven't been doing it long, and they're like, I have a character, I have a gimmick, I have a full-fledged thing. It's just like, no, 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 no.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get to that. If you want to do that, we'll get to that. However, you just need to get good at what's in front of you first before you complicate it, right? And so that's one of the things I think is a pretty common mistake, is like, I'm going to be a gimmick. Oh man, you're just adding on top of that. You really don't need to. You know, you got to have the ice cream in the bowl before you add the sprinkles. So that's one of the things that I've learned. I mean, one of the things that like Cody Midnight, sorry Midnight. One of the things that, because I commentated with him for a few years, and he and Maddie Starr taught me a lot about, you're adding to what's happening in the ring, right? You're not the focus, the in ring, and here's how you do that without stepping on things and letting things breathe and just taking time. You don't have to call every move. You don't have to call everything. You can just react sometimes, like, oh my God, look at that. So sort of like that. I think that was one of the pieces of advice I got from Austin Aries too, because he I think his very first show after he got released was at IPW. At Forte. He didn't wrestle or anything. He was there selling the book and stuff.
Yeah, I remember that. Yep, I remember when he did that appearance. Yep.
Yeah, so I was on commentary with Midnight then, and I think Austin even hopped on one of them, but he like sat right next to us pretty much, through a lot of the night, and he would like write notes, and slide it over to you because he was listening, because he did commentary for 205 Live,
right?
And he's probably an underrated guy on the mic anyway too, but he would just, it's write a little note, hey, take a breath, don't have to talk all the time, stuff like that. And it's like, all right, yeah, no, I got it. And stuff like that helps. So having a strong bench, a bunch of good role players that can help with whether it be wrestling, in-ring stuff, character work, stuff on the mic, commentating, announcing, refereeing, managing, whatever it is. We have a very strong roster, and most of it is just passed down information, from this class to the next class, like who taught me that, and then you add your own little thing to it. And that's kind of the fun thing about opening the school is, I've seen like James Jeffries train people, and stuff like that. And so you see it, and then you see that in your class, except, oh, we've changed it. We've done it a little bit different, And so that's kind of one of the coolest things to see is, you can see a little bit of ugly in Clay, and like how he presents things and stuff like that. So that's always kind of cool to witness.
Yeah, for sure. And again, you guys are finally making your return here to Knoxville next week, man. And it's next week is actually a pretty big week in the state of Iowa. We have 4 different promotions alone running in Iowa. Does that kind of put a conundrum for you guys, do you think, or do you like that challenge when there's multiple promotions running on the same day, because it gives you an opportunity to have different people on your show?
We are lucky enough that most of our roster, I'd say the big core of our roster is like, you guys have first dibs. Give me the show dates. You guys are number one on the book, regardless of who else is running. So that's always kind of nice to hear. I think that speaks to how we do things and how we treat people, right? Now, yeah, there's a lot of shows happening in Iowa. That's great for wrestling. it makes me, it incentivizes Malice and I to put on a great show. And I'm a naturally competitive person. So anytime something like that happens, I was like, all right, well, here's what I'm going to do. We're going to do this a little bit. We're going to add to this. And I've told that to other promoters, when we've talked, what weekend are you running? And it's like, dude, run whatever weekend you want. Do whatever weekend. We can't both be in the same building at the same time. So
Right.
run whatever you want. But is it gonna light a fire under my ass to make my show better? Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. So top to bottom, I love what we have lined up for the end of this month. 6 matches. I think that's kind of the sweet spot for
Yep.
local indie wrestling.
Yeah.
Anything more than that, a lot of times people start getting tired.
Yeah.
So we have, new champion. Solomon Tupu is our Madhouse champion. He's got a big match against Death Dealer. We have the Battle Royal, like I mentioned. We have
Max Chill versus ZK47. That should be an excellent match.
I was gonna say Ryan versus Jimmy. I mean, there's a lot. I don't even think we've announced our tag match yet, and it's a rematch of one of our favorite matches from last year. Which I guess I can say that now.
Yeah, I mean, you do say the Hale Twins are defending their titles, so you just haven't said who.
Against those damn Coyotes, TDC. Yeah, so that was one of it. We had that match in Rochester back in July, and it was such a fun match and got such a good reaction from the crowd. And it's always fun when you have those matches and you kind of feel that feeling from the crowd, and you're just like, oh, I'm going to take this show on the road. I'm doing this one in Knoxville. I'm going to do it, as many times. And the Hales knock it out of the park, like every time. I don't know. I don't think we were the first ones to put them in a tag team. I maybe we were, but I don't think that we were. But man, we are just riding the coattails of their talent in this tag team division, because you don't get better teamwork than I mean, it is absolutely absurd how good they are and how quickly they came together. Because I think most of the time when they were traveling around, it was always Sage versus Brad, which was fun matches. I love those matches, and I think it was a Newton show. They were just like, oh, why don't we put them together? Why don't we have them go against Chileo? And then that ended up being a series of matches.
Yeah. Yep.
Right. So we will absolutely just let the Hales carry our tag team division. I mean, it's every match they knock it out of the park. It's just great stuff. So yeah, they're going to be facing TDC on the 29th in Knoxville.
Yeah, I know Bayless is finally bringing the Hale Twins into Central Empire Wrestling this year, so I'm really curious to see what he's got locked up for them, because I know he's been trying to get them for a while. So I'm curious. I'm excited to see what he's going to be able to do with them over there as well. Because I remember when I met them while they were training, I was like, God, if they make it all the way through, they could easily be a force to be reckoned with. Like, how often do you get twin sisters that are that are coming in locally? Like, that's just something you don't see.
Especially when, if we go into a new city or we're in front of a new crowd, there is a little bit of novelty to it, because not only are the sisters, but they're twins. But that's only the first reaction, right? It's just like, oh wait, they must be related. Oh, they're sisters. Oh, right, like that's your first reaction. But then they get into the ring, bell rings, and then they're going. And then them being sisters is junior to everything else that they can do. And Austin has seen that, I don't know how many times now, seen what they can do. So it doesn't surprise me, because Austin knows good talent when he sees it, and they are tremendous talent.
So let's talk a little bit here about ticket prices and how people can get access to tickets for next Saturday's show in Knoxville at the Countryside Wedding and Events Center. Really, really fun venue if you guys have not been to that venue for a wrestling show.
Yeah, Countryside was crazy enough to let us have our first ever Madhouse show there. They were the ones that took a risk and said, yeah, that sounds good to us. Right? They're just like, yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, let's do some wrestling. I think IPW had a show or
I think
two there
so.
before, but
Yeah.
IPW had was and is an established commodity.
Right.
We were not and still don't feel like we are. Um, and so they let us into their home, and I think it was midway through the first show. They were like, "You guys want to come back?" Really? Right? So anytime that we can come back to what feels like home, then we absolutely will. And they have put a lot of trust and faith in us that maybe we haven't even earned, but they do. And if you guys haven't ever looked at Countryside Wedding and Event Center's Facebook and Instagram, please do. It's tremendous. I mean, you get pictures and stuff with the venue, and the venue's great. They keep adding on to it. They got the pond now, they got a playground out back. They got so much cool stuff. But their content, like what they're putting out there on their Facebook and Instagram, is hilarious. It is funny shit that the owner is dancing and doing all sorts of stuff. I mean, I can't tell you how much I know it's her daughter making her do that stuff, but I love it from just an audience perspective. I always make sure to check out their socials. It's entertaining. So yeah, if you go to madhousewrestling.com, you can find our tickets on there. We just launched that website January. Oh man, it might have been before January. Might have been back in December. I made that site. And so you can go to madhousewrestling.com or madhousewrestling.com/tickets and find everything there. You can also find our merch. You can find information on training. You can see our full schedule, which we're constantly adding to. We have 4 shows scheduled this year and looking upwards of maybe 6 or 8, depending on how much we keep adding. And so we're gonna be rock and rolling pretty consistently throughout the course of the year. And we update our site all the time, so you got to keep your eyes out there and keep your eyes on our socials on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, or whatever the hell it's called now, X. So
Well, it looks like you guys got a pretty busy, April coming up too. I see you got class number 1 graduating April 6th, as you had mentioned. Obviously, April 13th, you jump right in and start class 2, and then like you said, Madhouse Wrestling show number 15 in June back in Rochester, Minnesota. Like, yeah, you guys are really, really, pumping it out here. June 29th, this class 2 is supposed to graduate. Like, yeah, you guys are really.
Sounds like we're going back to Adventureland for their Oktoberfest again, and
there you go.
Then we'll be back in Rochester in November, and maybe working on something in Des Moines in late summer, like August-ish. Then we're gonna have a few house shows, and
why don't you talk a little bit more about that, Tyler? I know you and I have kind of talked about it privately, but let's talk a little bit about what those kind of upcoming house shows are supposed to be. Is that going to be more like training experience for your trainee classes and their graduates, or what's that supposed to be like?
Both. Yeah. So the house show idea, I mean, it's nothing new, to wrestling, but it's like, man, we got this great facility, and we got these trainees. We only run, like I said, 4, 6, 8 shows a year, which is not a lot.
You guys basically kind of do like once a quarter type of deal.
Yeah, and we don't run in the winter. I mean, Malice and I, we're not interested in like county fair shows and stuff like that, or it's just it doesn't really jive with the type of show that we put on. So when people ask about it, whether that be a fan or be someone from a county or something, we're very upfront. We're just like, we are kind of the party atmosphere. We're not, we're family entertainment. If you're from the Manson family, it's very, we're different. We're a little bit different. So we're always upfront about that stuff. And we just don't have a lot of interest in doing that type of thing. Not that there's anything wrong with it. There absolutely isn't. It's just, I don't think it's our style, and I don't think that they would want it if they checked out our show. Like anytime a county fair asks us, I'm like, I don't think you've seen our shows.
you know. So no, the house shows, yeah, or to get more matches in front of people for our trainees and everything, but it's also just to keep getting reps for any wrestlers that are out there that, have an open weekend, and it doesn't have to be, our traditional roster. It's we're just trying to enhance and expand our community. That's it. It's Madhouse has never been a money making endeavor for us. It's been more of, we love this silly little art form that most people don't understand, and we want to make it better, and we want to do things our way. So house shows, which the graphics and everything are drawn up for that. And I teased it. I think I teased it on Instagram at one point, but because I really like the graphic and the name and everything that we're doing for it, because it's silly. We don't take ourselves seriously and stuff like that. But yeah, it's going to be mostly like, let's get these guys in front of a crowd. Let's work on things that they need to work on. But we're also going to have, tremendous normal matches that we typically would. So I really think that it's going to be fun. It's a lot on Clay. And the good thing about Clay is he doesn't shy from a challenge. He never says, I can't do that. That's just not his style. He's very much like, hell yeah, let's go. Right? Let's do this. Like, let's do it. What about this? What about that? He's very, very involved in pretty much everything that we do, especially in the training center. So, he's from that area. Malice lives a little ways away. I obviously live like 5 hours away. So I probably won't be at the house shows. I've never not been at a Madhouse show. So the idea that I'm not going to be there instills a lot of panic in me. But Clay will knock it out of the park. That's the thing. I trust that guy implicitly with everything that we've put in front of him. He just kills it every time. I mean, our second show when he won the title was maybe to this day my favorite show. It's still the last thing you see on our intro video to all of our stuff on IWTV. It's still that reaction of Clay winning the title, and I will never remove that from our intro video. Clay's just amazing. I can't say enough positive things about him. And our trainees and the people that come and do tours, or even just talk to him on the phone, they will reach out to the Madhouse account or me personally, and they'll just like, hey, you got a good one. That Clay Cooper is just tremendous. I mean, he's so knowledgeable. He helped me with this. He's very positive. And when you get to hear those things, it helps, it's like, I knew I made the right decision, but man, this just reinforces it. So I can't say enough good things about the guy.
Well, and it's funny too, like you mentioned that you guys don't take yourself too seriously. And then you guys, sometime last week put out that really great commercial for the training center.
That was Clay. That was so most of the time, if it's online stuff, it's mostly me. Traditionally, historically, it's been mostly me, like stupid little memes and videos and stuff like that have mostly been me. I never put myself in them because that's just never been my goal to be on that side of things. And so like I think the only heads up I got was like, oh, we're gonna shoot like a little advertisement this weekend. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, and I don't even think I asked him like, what are you thinking? Because again, I trust him. He's just like, all right. And randomly, he just sends me the video, unprompted. There's no context to it. It was just the video. And I watched it. I just started laughing my ass off. I mean, I just started laughing. I think I watched it 3 times in a row before I even responded to it. And I was like, oh, we got to get this shit up online quickly. So like I took it and I put the music behind it and the text that's on it and stuff like that. But the creative of it, that was nothing to do with me. That was a lot of Clay. And I'm sure, and Malice sitting there with a chair over his head,
looking like he's concussed as all hell is pretty perfect, because that's not really a character. That's kind of who he is just in general. And then seeing Bull tossing around, it took me a second to realize it was Jimmy getting tossed around. So yeah, I think I watched it a couple times, and I had to place those screams of Jimmy getting tossed, and then Bull just like kind of stomping towards him. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if a lot of other places would be like, because we do take training seriously. Obviously, we for day one we go through the dangers of it, and we have you sign a thing, and like we take it very seriously. It's on our website. Safety is number one. But when it comes to how we market ourselves, we should market ourselves how we put on our shows, right?
Mm-hmm.
And our shows do have humor in them, right? We've literally had a guy slip on a banana peel on a show. Like, people getting shot in the dick with a Nerf gun. Stuff like that. It's just
lightsabers.
Lightsabers, that's another one. I think we did beer bongs during one match at Oktoberfest last year. One of the matches was Justin Decent versus AJ O'Callahan in a drinking match. And the way to win that match was you had to finish your beer first. So we should market ourselves, because Malice and I, 90% of what we do is just ragging on each other and making jokes and trying to be as lighthearted as possible, and to make things fun, because having a positive mental attitude about things is hard to do sometimes in professional wrestling. And so being able to keep humor involved is pretty important to us. You're never going to come to a Madhouse show and not have a spot that made you laugh, because I think talent for a while was kind of scared to ask us if they could do that. Like, oh, I had this funny little idea. Would it be good if we did this? Was that okay? And we always tell people, it's like, stick to your time. And if we have, and whatever we've written down, everything else is you. Put on the match that you want to put on. If it includes slipping on a banana peel, or if it includes putting a hollowed out pumpkin on your head, stuff like that. Candy corn. I remember that was part of that same match with the lightsabers, was instead of tacks, they used candy corn. Silly shit like that. I also don't know if we've ever gone through a show without someone getting kicked in the dick. Kind of a staple. It's kind of a staple of ours, is like someone's getting kicked right in the crotch. So.
And if you guys have not seen the commercial yet, it's going to be on the back end of this interview right before we go into the independent calendar for the month. So go ahead and take a look watch the commercial before you hit the independent calendar portion of the show. And again, Madhouse Wrestling returns to action at the Countryside Wedding and Event Center in Knoxville, Iowa, next Saturday, March the 29th, and it's going to be a great time. Luke, is there anything else you want to say before we get out of here, my man?
Just, if you're interested in training, if you're interested in our shows, if you're just interested in local independent professional wrestling at all, Madhouse Wrestling is the place to be.
And there you heard it, folks, from the man himself. Hopefully you guys can get out to a show. Doesn't matter where it's at, next Saturday or even this Saturday. I know we got some shows coming up this Saturday as well. Again, check it all out on the independent calendar on the other side of this commercial break. And until next time, everybody, that's going to do it for us here on Shotgun Wrestling Radio. And we'll see you right here on the World Wide Web.
Hello, everyone. This is head trainer Clay Cooper here with Madhouse Wrestling. If you've ever wanted to become a professional wrestler in Monroe, Iowa, now is your chance. Contact us on our Facebook page, my Facebook page, or Madhouse Wrestling at gmail.com. And I will see you in the ring.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Independent Wrestling Calendar presented by Shotgun Wrestling Radio. Here we're going to take a look at the shows going around the next 2 weeks around across the state of Iowa. We got a lot of shows to get to, so let's go ahead and get right to it. Starting this Saturday, March 22nd, Absolute Pro Wrestling and Impact Pro Wrestling team up to present Absolute Impact at GMG High School in Garwin, Iowa. Bell time is at 7 p.m. For more information on that, head over to Absolute Pro Wrestling's Facebook page, and that should be a great night of action. Two long-standing companies here in Iowa teaming up together for a great cause. Also, Saturday, March 22nd, Wrestling Revolver returns to action here in Iowa at the Horizon Event Center in Clive, Iowa. Bell time is at 8 p.m. Doors open at 7 p.m. For more information, head over to their Facebook page. SCW Pro is back in action on Saturday, March 22nd at Wildwood Saloon in Iowa City, Iowa. Bell time is at 7 p.m. Head over to their Facebook page for tickets to reserve your table now. This next company is not running in Iowa, but they are an Iowa-based company, so I'm going to give them some love here. Social Experiment Wrestling. A lot of our friends are going to be up at that show here this weekend, March 22nd in Albert Lee, Minnesota at Albert Lee High School. Bell time is at 7 p.m. It looks like a very fun show. The Vaudevillains are going to be there. Swoggle's going to be there. So if you're up north Iowa, go ahead and make your way up to Social Experiment Wrestling this coming Saturday in Albert Lee, Minnesota. Moving on to next week, Saturday, March 29th, Absolute Pro Wrestling returns to action at the Cedar Valley Sportsplex in Waterloo, Iowa. Bell time is at 7 p.m. Impact Pro Wrestling is back in action as they are going to be at the Burlington Memorial Auditorium in Burlington, Iowa. Bell time is at 7 p.m. Our good friends Madhouse Wrestling, as we have seen on this week's episode of Shotgun Wrestling Radio, are going to be back in action as well at the Countryside Wedding and Event Center in Knoxville, Iowa. Bell time is at 6:30 p.m. Also, a new company making its debut here next Saturday, March 29th. Live Pro Wrestling is going to be in action for their debut show at the Tama Eagles Club in Tama, Iowa. That's going to do it for us here this week on this week's edition of the Independent Pro Wrestling Calendar. If you would like your company to be featured on the Independent Wrestling Calendar, make sure your events section is updated on your Facebook page, and we will get you added. Till next time, we'll see you right here on the World Wide Web.